Hey guys, John here. Format of this video is a little bit different today. I'm actually sitting down with Andres, who is an agency owner looking to scale to $100,000 per month. In the video, we do an incredibly deep dive on his agency, and we dive into 5 things, specifically his offer, his lead gen, his sales, his systems, and his team. Those are the 5 things that we audited today, and we found a bunch of bottlenecks in all 5 of those things that, if fixed, can help him scale to 100K a month. I don't want to take up too much time here with the intro. We're going to dive straight into the one-on-one. I hope you enjoy it, and if you do, let me know in the comments below. Kareem, roll the recording. Ready to dive in here?
I'm excited, dude. Let's do it.
I think first things first, just kind of give me like the high level overview of your agency and what you guys actually do.
Okay. So primarily, we're like an actual growth partner. So we do all marketing and sales. So like from everything from story sequences, emails, like literally everything, even content. And we take like an actual rev share in the business, like a percentage of whatever we generate. And then in another sector, so we just have a done for you like front end offer, which is essentially just meant to funnel more people up, build more trust at a smaller price point. Just because it's a big commitment to give a piece of your business away. But in
Yeah.
terms of what we do, it's just like full stack. It's pretty much what it is.
Cool. And then specifically for coaches,
Info agents.
consultant info.
Yeah, yeah, for info specifically.
Cool. And what are you guys doing per month right now?
So right now we just relaunched the agency with a brand new roster of clients. But before that we were doing like 20 to 25 take home for the agency, and that doesn't like include like sales rep commissions and stuff like that
Cool.
included. Um, but yeah,
Okay. And what's the goal?
the goal would be like so we have two goals. I want to have a portfolio of clients doing like $500,000 a month cash, like 4 clients cash collected, and the agency I want to be doing between like 75 and 100. Which we'd probably need to get a better idea of like what the profit margins are in each of those because it's different per client and stuff like that, which you'd probably give me a lot of insight on.
Cool. So 100K a month is really the target.
Yeah.
And like, what do you think is kind of, before we dive into all the mechanics of it, like, what do you think is kind of the main reason you guys aren't there yet?
I think one, we need a lot more cash from like our front end offer, like having an actual acquisition system there because for right now it's pretty much we've operated off referrals for the longest time, just like off good word, to land these like bigger clients. And it's gone well, but like I said, like these rev share clients, ideally we want to have like 30% of our cash coming from these like rev shares and 70% of cash coming from like these builds that we can just repeat every month. Um, so I think we need an acquisition process for the builds, and then I think also we need to be able to like tap into more skills like paid ads for clients to scale them more proactively instead of just through content
Yeah.
like, organically.
Okay. Cool. So I guess like run me through the mechanics of the front end offer. I think that's really where I want to focus the majority of this is like on the front end offer and what you guys are doing there. So like kind of run me through how the front end offer works currently.
Okay, so we basically just took one subsystem of what we do for like rev share clients, and it's like this voice note setting system that we built with like one of our very first clients that did really well. And so it's like this small little intro win. Where we'll just come in and plug in a voice note setting system. We'll record the like creator template out a whole setting sequence and just like actually build this out for them. So like one, they don't have to rely on setter talent. Two, it's not as volatile. They get a lot more in-depth conversations out of it, and they end up like having way more high-quality book calls because of the way we structure these voice notes and script them out for them to use in conversation. So that's our front-end offer. And in terms of like how like the deliverable of that, but the front-end offer of it is like we'll make you an extra 20, 30K a week in your info coaching business, or you don't pay.
Okay. So main thing they're getting is the voice note setting system.
hmm
And from there, essentially, that's the front end offer. They're getting the voice note setting system. And then what do they pay for that?
So that's one thing that we need help with. It's kind of been like one of those things where like you jump on whatever calls you can, like you close them for as high as you possibly can, which I think is not how you build something super predictable.
Yeah.
So usually it's between 3 and 4K. And we've
One
closed
off?
one off. So we've closed some as high as 6K, for bigger creators, and then the low end we've closed some for 3K.
Okay. And so like what is the ongoing work? Does that have to be a one-time build out or can it be ongoing?
So it can be ongoing if they want, for example, like we're just building them the system that they can convert more of their leads with. And sometimes they have a setter on the team that can use it and they're like continuing that process of plugging it in actually. Sometimes like they need a setter like themselves, so we'll place a setter in there and train them on the system. And so that way it's super like build it one time, hands off. And we'll probably jump on a couple consulting calls with them to make sure it's running smoothly. Um, but other than that, it's pretty hands off. It's just we build it one time, either plug in a setter for them or they already have one going in there and they can actually, carry it out.
Because there's not really much of a recurring thing that happens, right? It's more just a one-off build out
Yeah,
in and
it's
of
just a
itself,
one-off
right?
build out with the intent behind upselling them into more just growth partner stuff.
Okay. And like what percentage of people right now are ascending into the growth partner?
Right now it's 75%. Like we've
Okay,
closed like
wow.
everyone we have a really high percentage. That being said, I don't think it's a result of just like Um, the reality is like we're super like nerdy, and so we really do like a lot more than just what we sell on the offer side of things. So like they'll come in, we'll build them out tracking systems and stuff if they need it, and so we're kind of over delivering, um, and that's why they upsell so high.
Hmm.
But also we haven't pushed like a ton of volume through that outbound offer. It's really just been like between 6 and 10 people.
Okay. So that's great that a lot of people are ascending. I think that the one thing that I would say is I'm always a fan of just explaining all of the value that you're delivering up front, right?
Hmm.
So I've never really been like a fan of like under promising and over delivering. I would rather like over promise and over deliver, right? If that makes
Gotcha.
sense. So not over promise and under deliver specifically, but over promise and also over deliver. Because like the better your offer sounds and appears, more clients you're going to sign, right? So like at my agency, we would always kind of add new features because a lot of times we sort of had to improve like our client experience. And every time we added in a feature, I'm going to be talking about it on the next sales call or in the next ad or whatever the case may
Hmm.
be because it's something that we want to essentially be able to explain to people that like, hey, there's this big value that you can receive, you know, when you work with us and like kind of stacking all of the different elements into what you do. Because the way I think about it is like if you charge a price like $10,000, let's say, and you have multiple layers of things that you do for that $10,000, it now feels cheaper because of all the other things that you're getting.
Hmm.
Right. And so my thought process has always been like the more things we can stack into the offer that all work together as well. Right. So, like, I think the thing that makes a really good offer is they work together. So, when you're talking about like tracking systems, that works really well together with the actual outbound system because it's like, hey, we're going to build the voice notes for you. The voice notes go out, it's automated, but then there's also this tracking system so you can monitor the entire thing and see how it's working. Right.
Yeah.
And so,
Do
but
you
I would
frame
like,
that as do you frame that as bonuses or are you always putting that like in the main value stack where it's like included in the price?
so I think you always have your hero three. So if you ever watch my sales calls, and the reason I like to get people to watch my sales calls is not necessarily to see the sales at play. It's more so
Hmm.
just to see how a good offer is kind of laid out. And so I would always have a hero three. And so like what we did at my agency was local authority campaign. It's going to generate leads for you. From there, our 2 point nurture is going to text and email all of the leads that are coming through. And then the live sales assistant is going to get on the phone and call all of your leads and set them into appointments. So that's a
Hmm.
hero three. And so I would try to figure out the three kind of big promises you can make. And then everything else is sort of like ancillary and is sort of bonuses, if you will. Not necessarily bonuses in terms of you say they're a bonus, but they're added value to the main three things. And so I always
Okay.
like to have kind of a hero three, if that makes sense.
For us, maybe that would be like the voice note setting system to actually convert the leads. We'll like track everything for you so you have a predictable process month over month. And then I guess the last one would be like we'll place a highly trained setter from our network to go and run the system. So it's like covering all bases. And then
Yep.
we even played with I want to play with the real bottleneck is like for outbound, which we'll get into later, is just like in order for this to be like a reasonable value prop, it's like they have to have some sort of existing attention coming into like their entire funnel. And so maybe even include like a bonus where it's like we'll even give you our content SOPs to drive more traffic to it as a bonus, like on top of the Hero 3. Something I played with, but I think for the Hero 3, I don't know what you think about that, but maybe that would be like our big three.
Yeah. I mean, like, I would, the way I would think about the offer that you have right now is the people should already have their content at least somewhat dialed in, and they're
Hmm.
struggling with actually turning the attention into deals, right?
Hmm.
And so it's like I wouldn't try to play in the game of helping them with the attention side. I would try to play the game of we help you turn the attention into deals, right?
Hmm.
Which is like I think that's why so many like growth operator people made so much money because I think it's like much easier thing to partake in to take somebody who already has attention and help them make money from the attention because that's what most people suck at, right? Most people suck at being able to convert the eyeballs into clients, right? And make
Hmm.
money. And like I remember, we have had a lot of people come through AC that were like legit growth operators because it's all the same to me. Like I think that's the thing that when you have learned the info space, you learn that like it's all just some new unique mechanism and a lot of the underlying principles are going to be the same. So like growth operator, SMMA, even with AI to some extent, like all the principles are the same. But I remember like seeing some of the numbers that some of these big influencers, people that have 400, 500, a million followers on Instagram, making like 12 grand a month. And so like I think that's a
Hmm.
much easier thing to take part in of you have attention, but you suck at turning the attention into clients rather than like you don't have attention, I'm going to help you create the attention from scratch. Because already a lot of people that
Hmm.
can, do that. And so I like specifically focusing around like, hey, this is an offer for people who are already somewhat established and already have a voice in their market. We just help you dial in all the sales stuff, like the setting. And so maybe it's we give you the entire voice note system. That's what I like is your unique mechanism because that's unique, that's cool, right? Like
Hmm.
that's a unique thing that other people aren't really promising. Hey, we're going to help you create a voice note system for your inbound and potentially outbound leads that are going to turn conversations into appointments, right? Let's say that's kind of the way we frame it. I like that piece. I really like the appointment setter placement. And I would also even say, if you want to beef it up even more, a lot of times what's cool is with agency, sometimes you have these kill two birds with one stone kind of things where you improve your fulfillment drastically and you improve your offer simultaneously, if that makes sense. Right.
Hmm.
So, like when we added the fact that we call all of the leads for our clients, that drastically improved the offer, right? Because that's a huge value
Yeah,
add. We
it's
call your
huge.
leads for you, but that
Yeah.
also made our fulfillment better. So it's like two birds with one stone, right? And
Hmm.
so I like if you do something along the lines of we have this internal appointment setter training that we built out that when we place an appointment setter for you, they have to go through our appointment setter training that's built specifically around our voice note system. And then what
Hmm.
happens is, because I don't want you to run the objection where somebody says, well, I already have an appointment setter. I would say, hey, if that's the case and you like them already, then we can send them through our training and they can come to our training. Now,
Mm,
it does
okay.
create more work, similarly to when I added the appointment setting thing for my clients where we called their leads. It does add more work, but it's going to do two things. It's going to make the offer better and it's going to improve your fulfillment. So I might build something out like that where it's like, hey, our team has to go through our internal appointment setting training that we've built out around this system. And then they go through their training and then we place them directly in your business. If you already have one, then they can also just go through the training.
Hmm. That's really cool. And even like when you said that to kill two birds with one stone, the big thing I thought of too, like what gets because our end goal is cash. That's like our output, what
Yep.
we're trying to get for them. So like maybe we frame it as like two like we do this pre-call page thing. So like whenever someone books a call, like on a thank you page, we'll put like a 90-second VSL on top and then like a full 20-minute VSL going over the entire offer. Like basically build out a thank you page that's super, super in depth. So maybe we
Yep.
like stack that in there as well. So it's like we have a voice and setting system that takes conversations into book calls and then a pre-call process that will plug in for you to get those book calls pre-sold before they even show up to the sales call or something like that. So maybe that's cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I like when stuff flows together. So like I think that the reason that I talk about my offer a lot, and it's not because I just think it was exceptional and that's the only reason. I just think that everything flowed together super well. So like
mhm.
generate a lead for a realtor, text and email the lead, call the lead, book them into an appointment. It's like an entire process that we like hand deliver to the client, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you say, hey, we're going to train an appointment setter for you, we're going to place them in your business, we're going to give you the system to reach out to your followers and turn them into booked appointments with our voice note system. That's our unique mechanism. And then after they book, we're going to build out the entire nurture and belief engineering. You know, you come up with some cool word
That's
for it,
fire.
something
That's
like that.
fire.
Process that. And again, for the people watching this, I think what you'll realize is you just put words together that like it's not some crazy thing where I literally just came up with that on the spot. The nurture belief or nurture slash belief engineering process. And that's just
Yeah.
a fancy way of saying we build out a beefed up thank you page. And so I think all those things flow together. And I think that also what's cool too is it's going to solve multiple problems, which is like it solves the problem of booking appointments, but it also now with the thank you page can plug in well to any appointments that they're already booking because a lot of coaches or info people are struggling with bad lead quality. People aren't understanding of the offer. They get on the call and they have no idea what I'm talking about, etc. So that can also solve more problems as well,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of cool. So you could do those three. I think that would work really well. And then there's obviously some bonuses you can tack on. I think the tricky thing is going to be anytime you do a front end offer and a back end offer, you want to figure out a way to make the front end offer still incredibly valuable, but not make it disproportionately valuable to the back end offer. And so for you, if I'm you, I'm just trying to figure out how I can make the front end offer extremely valuable and like solve a lot of problems and then make the value disproportionate on the back end. So maybe it's like, you know, with the front end clients, you get them to 30K or 50K a month or whatever through the appointment setting, the outbound, the DMs, you know,
Mm-hmm.
organically. And then at like 50K, it's like, okay, now we actually partner up. We run ads for you. We help you put out a new VSL. We'll help you hire the sales team. I guess I'm telling you what I would do, but that's kind of the way I would frame it because it's
I
like,
love that. That's really sick.
yeah. Like, hey, we get you all this growth for free with all the resources and assets that you already have with your Instagram, with your YouTube, whatever. We're going to help you actually capitalize on the traffic. And
Mm-hmm.
I also like the framing of once we've proofed out our system, like once we've proofed our messaging works and our conversation angles work, then we turn on the ads, we put gasoline into the fire, and we scale. I like that
Yeah.
kind of angle. And I like that's how I would break them up.
That'd be super congruent going into like it's like for some of them they're like, hey, if you help me liquidate all my attention, what's the point of even partnering up with you guys? But if like full time, it's like okay, well we'll hire the sales team out to take you out of sales calls. We'll put the ads in. We'll make a new VSL, a new funnel, like everything more hands off, so they can just focus on content at the end of the day. I like that a lot. It goes up really well, and
Yeah,
all of
and I
this, a
think
lot
you
of the
could
stuff is
charge
built
more for that too when you bundle in all the value. Like I
on
think
the
that could
front end or
easily
the
be like
back end. Do you think?
no, the front end. I like the back end. It really just needs to be we get a percentage of their
Yeah.
business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and maybe do you ever do a setup fee on the back end side?
So yeah, we have up to like 10K, but I was thinking like if they've someone who have already invested with us in the voice note, I'm like, we'll waive the setup fee or at least like make some sort of like arrangement or discount or whatever it is, like incentive for them to actually go as a growth partner because usually we charge 10K, but because you've already plugged in half the systems we already use, that setup fee is now instead of 10, it's like 5 or like it's waived. You just come in with a
I would
rev
just
share
give them a
partner.
discount of what they've already paid.
Okay, cool, cool,
So
cool.
if it's a 10K setup fee on the back end, they've already paid the six for the front end. I would just say it's a 4K setup fee to
Okay.
basically just finish out the work. And you framed it the proper way, which is like, hey, we've already done most of the work, so we don't have to
Mm-hmm.
charge you the entire setup fee.
Yeah, that's super congruent. And like we've had really high upsell rates, so I think honestly
Yeah.
it's a matter of just like, figuring out like the messaging on the front end so we can charge that like 6K price point. I think because we're so like scattered and not clear on like the exact value proposition is why we're like closing for like 2 and then like 6 and then like 3 maybe.
I think the messaging needs to, like, the big idea needs to be, hey, we help you turn your content into a money making asset so then you can turn on ads later and scale that way. So like I would make like, you know, This is an idea that I never hear anybody talking about anymore, bro, for whatever reason. Everybody talked about it in like 2021. Nobody talks about it anymore. It's like not cool anymore. But there used to be this idea of like the common enemy and sort of this
Mhm.
idea that like if I'm trying to get you as my customer, I kind of like put my arm around your shoulder and like we kind of disparage the thing that you hate. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
so if I'm you, my messaging is going to be something along the lines of info businesses are cash flow businesses. All of the people that you see right now that are incredibly wealthy online, the Iman Gadzis and the Alex Hermosis and the, you know, Grant Cardones, et cetera, et cetera. These are people that have had extremely high profit margins and made tons of cash flow with their info businesses. And right now, there's kind of a new wave of people coming into the info space that are treating it like a software business where they're spending tons of money on marketing, they're killing their margins, and they're actually like defeating the purpose of what an info product was made for, which is profit. And they're like sucking all the profit out of their business essentially, right? Because you know that there's tons of people
Mhm.
that do this, obviously.
100%.
And so, how do you get that profit? Well, you have to be able to attract eyeballs with your personal brand, and you have to convert those eyeballs into customers, right? Like, who is the
Mhm.
guy that's made $100 million in info and profit? It's Iman.
Yeah.
And why has he done it? Well, because he's the best at getting attention and then just liquidating the attention, right?
Yeah.
He's just phenomenal at it. He's really good at getting people to follow him. And then he's good at doing the events and just cleaning up his audience and making tons of money.
Yeah.
That's what he's good at, which is like why he has made more profit than basically anyone. And so that's the way that I would kind of position my offer is like there's tons of people in the info space right now that are turning on ads when they're not really optimized to turn those ads on yet because they haven't actually turned their personal brand into a cash flow machine or a, you know, an asset that generates cash flow. And until you do that, you're never going to be profitable, but also it's not going to allow your ads to work as well. Because it's similar to agency, where it's like if you haven't validated your offer, if you're not good at sales yet, these sort of ideas, then you're not just going to like turn on ads and the ads aren't going to work very well because you haven't like
Yeah.
validated anything. So it's kind of the same with info. And it's why a lot of these guys are having really bad margins. And so that's the way I would position it is like you start with growing organically, but not just getting people to follow you, being able to turn the followers into eyeballs and being able to liquidate them. And then, you know, you get to 50K a month and then you run into a new bottleneck, which is doing volume. And that's when you turn on
Mhm.
ads. And that's how you make your ads uber profitable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's super it's like chronological as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
That's the
love
way I
it.
would think about it.
Cool. And then
Okay.
would you then yeah, we're talking about outbound, I guess, like and where you want to
No,
include
keep
that
going.
messaging or where that goes. Yeah, I guess like for on our end, because it's like purely outbound right now for that offer,
Mhm.
what we're also having trouble with is like where do we incorporate that messaging across like touch points when we're reaching out outbound? Obviously on a YouTube funnel, it's like you coin everything and it's like that funnel is pretty simple. But for on an outbound basis, like where do you get all these like beliefs across during the sales process? And then I'm guessing, yeah, that'd be like my main thing we're probably struggling with.
I think what I would do is I would use voice notes for your own outbound because I think it's going to be a good way to build trust, but also be able to like show that you actually do the method that you're telling other people to do. So, like, when we really started to scale my agency, I remember when I would do calls and I would tell people, like, hey, man, I am actually asking you, Mr. Real Estate Agent or Mrs. Real Estate Agent, to spend a fraction of the money that I spend each month on my own ads. So, like, I
Mhm.
believe in this thing because I know it works. So it's kind of it's definitely good credibility when you're asking the person to just do the same thing that you do and you show them
Yeah.
that you believe in it, right? Which is why
We
it's always funny when I see these videos of like people cold calling to get clients and then they're like telling the people like, yeah, you don't want to get clients through cold calling. And it's like, well, dude, you're cold calling, you know? But it's like
yeah.
I don't think people think about it like that, but I always think like, it's a little bit hypocritical, a little bit ironic. So what I think I would do, bro, is I think I would follow some like people that seem like they're your ICP, which are very easy to find for you, right? I would probably stick to 100% Instagram. And then I would actually follow them, and then I would wait for them to reach out to you. And then if they, with their outbound sequencing, because like most people are going to have sequencing, right? And
Yeah.
if they don't, after like a couple days, I would then voice note them and be like, hey man, I followed you a couple days ago. I noticed that you haven't tried to pitch me on anything yet, which is kind of crazy because blah, 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 blah. And that's how I would try to start it. So I would be, and if
Interesting.
their messaging is not very good, I would just be like, hey man, just appreciate the messages. Surprised to see that you're not actually using voice notes right now. If you're interested, like I can send over a quick Loom video on how I'm implementing voice notes and how we could essentially turn this whole process into a voice note process for you that I think would increase the conversion rate by X, Y, and Z.
That's hard. That's so funny. I have never thought to just like wait for them to like essentially fuck up and then using like that as leverage.
Yeah, just
Um,
wait like a day. Because most people are going to have an automation in place or have their setter in place where when you follow them, they're going to reach out pretty much instantaneously. So I think
yeah.
that would be a cool way to do it. And then I would just try to send looms kind of breaking down the entire system.
Yeah.
And then within the looms, I would do like 5-minute looms and then just be kind of explaining sort of the messaging that I'm talking about, which is like, hey, at 30 to 50K a month, this is when you hit a bottleneck. This is what's happening to a lot of coaches right now is they're going straight into ads and they're kind of rolling the dice on ads. And that's a problem because of this, and this, which is like, your margins suck. You haven't really proved out your offer yet. Your messaging's bad, etc. And especially like, dude, a lot of people are running DM ads, and like that's kind of a popular thing right now is like run DM ads. Well, if your
Hmm.
setter's not very good or your messaging in the DMs is not very good, well, now you're actually paying money to like essentially screw it up, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that the way that I would sort of frame it is like wait for them to message you and then have a sequence where if they don't message you, then voice note them and say something along the lines of, hey man, notice you haven't actually sent me a message yet. What I'm finding right now with a few of the coaches that I'm working with is messages that go out to new followers end up turning into sales calls like X percentage of the time, right? Whatever, 12% of the
Hmm.
time. And so, you know, based on the fact that you haven't messaged me, maybe your setter missed it, but I assume that you don't have a process in place for this right now. If you're down, I could just send you like a short video on kind of how the whole thing would work if you maybe wanted to set it up for yourself. I would frame it as
Yeah.
like, hey, if you want to set it up for yourself, this is how it would work.
I
Because,
actually have that loom on hand. I'd love to see your like take on it. If I
yeah,
can show you that, that'd be
yeah,
so
dude, let's look at
sick.
it.
Cool. I'll pull it up.
Can you share sound as well?
Yeah, I just should make sure I shared some. Let me know if this doesn't work.
Cool.
Hey, what's going on? I want to make this, I'm an
Perfect.
actual person, not a robot. But I'm genuinely convinced after doing a deep dive and a deep audit of like your content and your funnel that you could be making more money from your DMs right now. And I only say that because someone like KJ, right under 7,000 followers, we were able to help him actually go and do $180,000 in 90 days, 43K in less than 2 weeks in November, then 22K in 7 days in January with this exact system in his DMs. And it doesn't even require us being in there all the time or relying on setter talent. And it's how I want to bring you an additional 20 to 30K a week by recording 6 voice notes at one time. It's because knowing the market's doing this right now, why it works so well. And so the big thing behind it is by implementing this, we went from three
Okay, I
calls a
really
day to
like the
12 hyper
offer
qualified calls a
present. The
day.
way you're presenting the offer, I think is really solid. So like the results you
Mhm.
guys have already gotten, I think are definitely a symptom of like the fact that you're presenting the offer efficiently. So I like the way that you're framing it like additional 20, 30K a week by filming 6 voice notes. So
For
that's good.
KJ, we just 6,000 followers, actually less during this time with the 75% show up rates. We're not wasting any of our time on calendar. And again, hitting $180,000 collected in 90 days from DMs alone. And to show you what that actually looks like, instead of having these long, drawn out conversations, talking to the prospect and going back and forth, we actually have really quick booking conversations, a lot of high intent. So we have these voice notes here on the right, and the prospect will sometimes even just answer with their own voice notes, and it makes it incredibly easy. And believe it or not, these voice notes on the right with KJ, none of them were personal. They were all pre-recorded, requiring none of his time. And so these conversations went super long, drawn out to really high intent conversations that led to actual bookings. And again, people end up opening up a lot more when it comes to just having a voice note instead of just a regular DM setter. And this really is only one part of what we do to help like other coaches scale. A lot of other guys like Marshall Cruz, 160K in 7 days, pretty crazy. Even Dan here, 13.7K in April to $52,000 in June. So like 60 days later, doubling, tripling the offer. 126 90 days. It's pretty much our bare minimum at this point. Even Jake here, 24.7K off a private launch, right? 600 followers on a secondary account. We launched, we still made 25 grand. Even guys like Joseph, Ruben, Morgan here went from 24K to 36K. Ellie here made 20K in her first week of December. And even guys like Alexi Michael with really cool offers, like a barber offer, made 20K in 30 days and even more. I won't bore you with all that. But that being said, I want to help you make an additional 20 to 30K a week by just recording 6 voice notes one time. It's the most powerful system we've ever implemented for creators. And I want to make your inbox as golden, as lucrative as possible. I know you're losing cash in there, and I want to help you recover it. So let me know if that sounds at all helpful. I'm happy to walk you through a demo, build you something super personal. For that to happen, we'll jump on a call, get more information, and build it out for you so you can see actually results and cash from all of this. And to make it super easy, there should be a booking link around here somewhere. If not, just DM me.
Pretty much just the booking link CTA. But I
Okay,
think
cool.
it's missing. It might be missing what you were talking about though, to be honest, which is like maybe like going more problem because you were saying what stuck out to me when you were talking was like identifying the bottlenecks they're going to run into, and I think nothing in the Loom even talked about like a bottleneck they're running into, just additional cash.
So this is the problem that a lot of people make, and there's a mistake that a lot of people make, which is with outbound and inbound, you have kind of a couple different things that you have to keep in mind. When you're reaching out to someone outbound, you kind of have to qualify them financially, but also for the intent. Whereas when somebody is inbound, like let's say they click on an ad and watch a VSL, you really only have to qualify them financially. Because by me, let's say that I am interested in some service. I don't know. Like, let's say I click on some ad. Let's say it's like a tax service, right? And the ad and the VSL are all positioned around like save money on taxes and like we automate the process for you. Well, if I click on the VSL and watch it and I apply to schedule a call and I watch the pre-call material, etc., they don't really have to explain to me like why I should save money on taxes or like why that's a problem because that's assumed already because I've opted in, right? And I've gone through the process and I have enough awareness of this problem and why this is a thing that I've actually like gone out of my way to schedule in with this company. And I'm to them, I would be an inbound lead. Now, if they reach out to me and I'm like unaware of like why taxes are such a big problem, then they're going to need to explain to me like what are the bottlenecks that I'm going to run into with my taxes, as an example. And so you can't just kind of like run around doing outbound and like just assuming that everybody's like fully briefed on the problem and is like fully ready for the solution like you would be able to do with inbound. And so I would try to explain in the voice notes like this is the bottlenecks that a lot of creators or info product owners or whatever are running into, which are shitty margins, their ads don't work, they have a lot of followers, but they're not getting any calls booked. Like I would run into some of those issues and then I would then give an explanation as to like, if you're struggling with these things, here's why, and here's how you can fix it. And then I would explain the voice note system. And I would like try to bridge the gap between like all those problems that they're having and then the voice note system.
Would you talk about problem in the initial voice note that you're sending in the DM, and then keep the Loom the same, like more focused on the solution aware, or would you like add a section to this Loom diving more into the problem to make sure they're problem aware before we go into solution, or is that just like qualifying them, like shooting a voice note before this Loom to make sure that if they even have intent on that angle of things?
You could just test it.
Okay.
So this is where like I'm a fan of testing, right? And I've tested many, many different types of scripts, and I like look at the numbers and look at the data. Like you know, one of my favorite quotes is that numbers are the language of business. And so what that means to me is like you need to track things and be able to see why things are working. So this is where like I would have a few different versions and variations of the scripting and then be able to say like, hey, we sent 5 versions of this script A, we sent 10 versions of script B. Here's which one worked better, and then you can make a educated kind of decision around, okay, this is what we're going to go for more. But the more I think about it, the more I would send a message that's something along the lines of, hey, Andres, followed you a couple days ago, and I noticed, funny enough, man, that you haven't actually tried to pitch me on anything yet, which is kind of crazy because I noticed that you're a coach. I actually work with coaches, and what we found is that by sending a message to each new follower that comes in, we're actually able to turn like 10 to 12% of those new followers into book calls who eventually close and sign up, which obviously can do a lot for your revenue. So if you're cool with it, man, I'd be happy to send you over the SOP on how you can install this thing yourself. And then, of course, if you have any questions about that or would maybe want me to look over it, I'd be happy to do that. But let me know if it's cool for me to send that over. And then I would frame the Loom. It's almost like an SOP on how to set this thing up themselves.
Yeah.
And then you know what's going to happen, right? Nobody wants to set this shit up themselves. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to sit down and learn some new thing. They want to do the stuff that's high leverage. And so, like for me, I'm trying to build out this big Notion build out thing, and I need to build out this Notion stuff. And my thought process is like, no, I need to film content because that's what makes me
Yeah.
money, right?
Hmm.
Or I need to, there's other money making activities that are more important than doing the Notion stuff. And so, but the Notion stuff needs to be done. It's important, but I don't want to build that out. That's not where I'm going to make the most money. And so,
Hmm.
even if somebody showed me how to do the Notion stuff, I would be like, sweet dude, that's awesome. Can you just do it for me though? You know what I mean? Like, what would it look
Yeah.
like for you to just do it for me? Because that's going to be the mindset of majority of these people. And so, like, I
Hmm.
would frame it as like the SOP, and then I would go into the problems and why this is an issue, show a bit about how the whole thing works or the process itself. You don't even have to show directly how to do it. Just talk about the process, the benefits of that process, and then just be like, yeah, man, if you want help setting this up, like, happy to jump on a call and kind of talk about how that would look in like
Yeah, I
5 minute
love that.
video.
I like the way, literally the way I'm just gonna take the transcript of this recording and rip that opener. Because yeah, that's like a really easy yes. And I guess like the one thing too with our original voice that we were saying before that Loom, it was like we were already pitching them on the idea of working together. Yeah, thumbs up, he's killing it.
I don't have one. Mine doesn't work.
What do you mean it doesn't work?
It just doesn't work. I think I turned mine off somehow.
Bang. Sorry, my bad, bro. I had to
That's gonna
stim
be
a
our
little bit.
thumbnail.
I had to stem. Um, but I think in our original voice that we were saying before that Loom, we were almost like already talking about the idea of working together. But in your script, what I noticed is like it's a lot less commitment and a lot less scary to say yes, send it over because it's just asking about like if they want the SOP in general. Um, and then
Yeah, so you got to think about it in stages.
yeah,
Because like there's like 15 stages of like getting someone to agree to something, then to signing them up. Right. So
hmm,
I think like this is a big problem that a lot of people have is they're trying to jump through the stages. Right. Like if you see an attractive girl and you're like, man, she's attractive, you might just go up to her and just compliment her and say, like, I like your shoes or whatever.
hmm,
You're not gonna say like, you're so hot and like we should get
no,
married. You know what I mean? She's gonna mace you. You know what I mean? She's gonna like think you're freaking weird, bro. You know what I mean? It's like
yeah,
that's strange because you're jumping too many steps. So like in everything, there's like this natural order of steps that you have to take. Like you don't just jump straight to the result. It's just like even having success in business. You don't just jump straight to being a millionaire. Like there's deliberate steps that you have to go through. And
hmm,
so yeah, dude, like I wouldn't frame it as like, hey, dude, let's work together kind of thing. I would frame it as like, this can help you. Let me know if you want me to show you how you can set it up.
yeah.
And if they're
That's
like,
so
yeah, I'm interested in that, then that's like 90% of the battle, anyways. So,
yeah,
like, don't think about like, I get a lot of messages, dude, in my DMs that are people that are just like, they want to send one. Like, the thing is, people are just fucking lazy, bro, and they want to hack. That's the problem. And like, I'm the same way. I think everybody, like, we're all like that in nature. We're just lazy, flawed people.
yeah,
But like I get so many messages and somebody is just like trying to do this thing where they send one message and then they get me to convert. And it's just like that's not how it works. You know what I
yeah.
mean? And so like my thing would just be, hey man, you obviously have this bottleneck in your process. You didn't message me or you didn't send me a voice note or whatever. And you can have different variations. And
Hmm.
then do you want me to send over the video that can kind of explain how this thing works? And then it's a micro commitment. And then it's like they watch the video. Cool, man. What did you think? Or cool, man. Any questions specifically on implementing this? I have free time for a call later in the week.
Yeah, that's so because even in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm telling them like, let me make you additional like 20, 30K a month or 20, 30K a week by working like with us and doing this. And it's like, even though I'm like, that's such a good deal, it's like they still have to, and to say yes, they have to agree to the fact that like they want to work with me, which is like, I haven't even talked, I haven't sold them on that. So even though it sounds like I was giving them this no-brainer offer. It's like they don't even know, trust, or care about me just yet to even say yes to that, no matter how great the offer is. Which I think that's like
Yeah,
something
and
I
I
need
think
to
this
like
is
pick
where
up
unique
on.
mechanism comes in because there's just going to be a lot of people that are saying like, "Hey, we're going to be able to help you make more money if you're a coach or consultant." It could be a million different things, right? That might even be
Yeah.
what a closer might say to them. If I want to work for somebody and I want to close for them, that might be what I say. If I'm going to be your content editor, that might be what I say. So it's like that's why your unique mechanism, I think, specifically for your offer, is more important because your high level promise, although it's good, but it's
Hmm.
like
Yeah, it's
a
just
lot of
words.
people are going to have something similar to that. And that's no
Hmm.
fault on you. That's just the fact that you're in a niche with a lot of competition.
Yeah. No, I agree 100%. I don't think they've ever jumped on a call because 20, 30K a week. They jump on the call because like they have a problem in the setting department.
Yeah.
Um, and I think we're closing a lot of people that like the people that we've closed from outbound already like fully have conviction and that's their bottleneck. Whereas like we're probably not closing a ton of people or getting like good calls from people that
Mhm.
like just need to be taken through those beliefs. Which is why like I think the approach that you said, like following them and literally pointing out, like doing the due diligence on their process. Because like they're gonna none of them are gonna send me. I already know none of them are gonna send me anything. Or if they do send me, it's gonna be just some like stupid many child automation. And
Yeah.
like for whatever variation, we got something on our bag for that. So
And then what you do is you bridge the gap with math and you say if you have X amount of followers, you should have X amount of clients. If you're getting 100 new followers a month, six of those people should becoming clients. If only two of them are becoming clients, then you have a bottleneck. You have a gap in your process. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because it's like there's no like business school where it's like these are what your numbers should look like. You know what I mean? Like you never know. Like like when I had my agency and our churn was 15% a month or whatever. I thought that was super high, and then I talked to other people and they're like churning at like 30%, and I'm like, well, dude, you must really suck. But like it's funny because it's like no, but there's
Yeah.
no like standard of like somebody might get 100 new followers a month and close 10 of them. Somebody might
Hmm.
get 1,000 new followers a month and close one. And so,
Yeah.
like, I would even kind of try to show some of that math and say something to the effect of, like, hey, if you're doing X amount of new followers a month, you should be converting X amount of those new followers into new clients. Because, like, what
Hmm.
are you even putting out all the content for? You know what I mean? Or what are you even doing every single day doing videos or whatever? Like, it's to get clients. That's the
Yeah.
point.
100%.
And so, yeah. And I think that it's just like, going straight to the benefit. I always like funnel hack people all the time. And the guy who owns Viral Coach, Daniel Isles,
Yeah, Owls, yeah.
dude, I think he's super solid because his whole thing is like I'm not giving an endorsement to like his offer. I've never worked with him before. I don't even know him. So I'm not like don't somebody comment like I spent 50 grand with Daniel Isles and it wasn't good. Whatever. That's not the point. I mean, the way he positions his offer is phenomenal because he basically says, "We're going to get you a lot of views, but you don't give a shit about views. You care about getting clients." And it's like, okay,
Hmm.
dude, this guy actually understands his clients because nobody cares about views or getting a million views on a video. People want clients from it, right? That's the whole point. Because I can make a video and talk about like, we had these videos on the AC page back in the day, and it would be like memes about Trump, and it would be like these funny like Trump clips where Trump would say like quiet, quiet, when you do that to reporters. And the
Yeah.
caption would be like, when you're on a sales call and the prospect's interrupting you, and it's like quiet, quiet. And it's funny. And they would get tons of views. Like I think one of them
Hmm.
got, a few 100,000 views.
When I came in, people thought we were probably going to war with North Korea.
They said the threat is over.
Quiet,
Is it
quiet,
over?
Quiet.
But nobody got on a call and was like, yo, I signed up for that video. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's going to be the YouTube video that gets 80 views that's talking about some super in-depth business strategy, blah, 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 where some nerd dude watches it and like, John's pretty smart. He knows about this kind of stuff, right? Like that's
Yeah.
what works. And so like when Daniel Isles is smart because when he's making his videos, his ads, he's saying, we guarantee you tons of views because you want views, but you also know that views aren't the main thing. You want clients, and that's what our stuff's going to do for you. And
He's
so it's
interesting
just
because
like,
he's an organic content offer, but his whole business is paid, like paid
right.
ads. It's so funny.
It's interesting. Yeah, because I was looking at his content and his content's not necessarily like he's not necessarily
Yeah.
famous, right? And so it's not a dig at him. It's just that's just how it
Yeah.
is. And so yeah, it's a good point. It's kind of funny.
It's so funny because I look at it, it's like 22 likes on an Instagram post, but like
Yeah,
he just bangs for every client apparently on average.
100%.
Yeah. So
So
his messaging is so good that no one even thinks about it. They're just like, yeah, it's just a great offer.
yeah, and he can just run paid. I mean, like, I think that paid is the ultimate litmus test of if you have a good offer or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you really know if you have a good offer if you can run it to paid. Like, point, because like all the businesses that have been around for a long time, like since like 2020, a lot of the info businesses, like they just obviously have a good offer because their paid has just continued to work forever and they can just spend more and it
Mm-hmm.
just continues to work better. And so it's like, that's really the litmus test of is this a good offer or not? Is like, can a stranger hear about this offer and think it's a good offer and like be interested?
What's the when you kick up ads, like what is the timeline between like starting and like giving the pixel time to warm up to like you being like, okay, this is either a shit or a good offer? Or is that super subjective and like contextual?
Well, I would validate it through outbound and then get it working with outbound and then turn on the paid.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you know your offer is good and you've proved it through outbound, then you just have less variables that you need to worry about. So like the problem with ads is there's so many freaking variables to why it might not work. Like it might be your funnel, it might be your creative, it might be your copy, it might be the conversion events are messed up and you're optimizing for page views and you get a bunch of people that are viewing your landing page, but nobody's booking a call. Your application could suck. Your VSL on your landing page could suck. It's like so many crazy variables. And, you know, dude, like I spent a ton of money on ads. You know, at our height, we were spending like
Yeah.
50, 60 grand a month on ads. And so it was really just like cracking a few different things. And it's like, okay, you can scale like crazy. And so I just think when you have that many variables, don't let one of the other variables be, is my offer good or not?
Mm-hmm.
Because like once you prove the offer, then everything else is like much easier to create. Like you just, your VSL talks about the offer, your creatives talk about the offer.
Yeah. That makes sense. That
It's
makes
all centered
sense.
around the offer. But like, yeah, I think it in terms of spend as well. So like you're gonna need
What
a little bit of time and spend.
what is that like when you say offer proven through outbound, is there like a key metric you look for? Is it like
I think normally when you're at 30K a month,
30K? Okay, so it's like a cash for the business.
that's
Okay,
what I would
cool.
say.
Got it. I didn't know if it was like some sort of like you want to be at this closing percentage so you know that like you get a yes X amount of the time or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think 30K a month, you pretty much have it
Okay.
pretty well down.
Sick.
And if
No,
people are
I
booking calls and people are interested, then that's good validation that the offer works and is working.
hmm yeah, I have a lot of clarity on our outbound right now. Also, if you want to take a look at the our like in my Instagram, like I'm sure like the profile optimization has something to do with like also
Yeah,
response
can I
rates.
see
They're
it?
like,
Can you just share screen?
yeah, I got you. I will pull this up here. So I have two. I don't know. I probably think I'm like Playboy Cardi or something because my main Instagram is just like super nonchalant, and then we have another one we run outbound from as well, and
Dude,
it's
I'm
like,
too old, man. I don't know. I understood the Playboy Cardi part, but I didn't understand.
all right, everyone put John on in the
I mean,
comments.
dude, this is like the typical growth operator
Yeah.
Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, I just
hmm
know you guys. It's like, dude, dude, here's what it's like. I'm about to roast the shit out of you. It's like when you see a girl's Instagram and you instantly know she has OnlyFans and you're like, this is an OnlyFans
Yo.
girl. It's the same with growth operators, dude. You look at a guy's page and he's got like some aesthetic pictures and like he doesn't really show his face. And you're like, yeah, bro, this guy, he's a growth operator, bro. 100%.
Yo, I'm
Growth
good. Okay, so this
operators.
one's better though. This is the other one from our account. I just changed his profile picture. It looks complete Duke, but it has like some sort of nurturing on here or like some little sales message. Um, so it's a little less like underground rapper vibe
Yeah.
with clients here. But for this one, so the thing about this page is it has like a lot of people I'm reaching out to. Like I would say like 80% of the time I have mutuals with that person. So this account like obviously converts way better just
Dude,
because
that's the most important thing is the mutuals.
yeah, that's why this account is does so much better than any outbound account we create because like everyone follows me here. So we
Mhm.
have mutuals with like pretty much everyone we reach out to from this account.
Yeah,
But
just put in the bio of the other one, main page at
okay,
Andres Diaz.
you think that like affects anything or like
Yeah,
okay,
I think it
bet.
helps. But yeah, it
Cool.
also, I mean, dude, it's definitely good to have mutuals.
Okay, sick. And then um are you a big fan? This is like one thing I wanted to ask you. Are you like I know back in the day the Charlie Morgan epidemic of like everyone was like had like their thing they do in the bio here. And like some sort of like transformational like line or whatever. Do you think that works better or worse now? Because I've seen some guys who are like,
because the page looks more like a human and not like an offer, it converts better. And some guys are more just like offer centered in their bio, and it like I don't know. Do you have a strong stance in that? You're pretty much just test it.
I think you can do it in a way that's not like super corny. So I think
Hmm.
you have to do it in a way that is nonchalant. Like legitimately. You have to do it in a way that's not like super corny. Like it's just like you can
Like
do it
pick
in a
me,
way that is you say it again?
like less pick me, like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
guess.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Because like some people, their page is like too businessy. Like, see, we
Hmm.
have Scale with John. That's just a Reels page. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
that's not ever going to be a page that's meant to be like a, you know, page that's just a Reels page, point blank.
Hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And then my John Nanes page is just like my personal page, but there's also a lot of people that follow me on there and a lot of mutuals and stuff with basically anyone.
Hmm.
And so, um, I would just say you want to make it a little bit more nonchalant. But I'll tell you what's interesting is when I had a VSL, the AC VSL actually had like, I remember I was looking at the Vitalytics and I'm like, dude, this has like 10,000 views. I was like, how does this have so many views? And it's just, it was in my Instagram bio. And so, like, I was actually
Mm.
surprised that a lot of people were going to the Instagram bio and clicking the main link that was in the Instagram bio. And so, I do
Hmm.
think that there is something to that of like having some sort of link that you want to drive traffic to in the bio, I think is super important.
I had this one where it's like I scaled a micro IG coach to like 180K in 90 days, and like I'm so retarded because it's like not even in here, but before it was um where like instead of having like a line of like we do X for XYZ niche or whatever, it's like just more of like a testimonial shout out to that link. Do you think that that's a little bit like I guess more nonchalant is what I'd ask? Um like something you're a fan of, or like would you I don't know. Some people have mixed opinions on whether the YouTube link should be there or like an actual VSL free training or a Gamma page or whatever it is. I don't know. What do you think?
I would center it around the voice note specific offer.
Okay, so
I
you would
help
call out the
coaches
voice in here.
install 6 voice notes to
Hmm.
scale to 6 figures a month or something like that.
How's six voice that's made this coach 181K or something
Exactly.
like that effect? Okay, cool. Sick. We'll change that then.
Yeah.
Sick. And then this one will be just for the Huz. Um,
Okay.
I'm just
That can
kidding.
work.
That can work.
But I
So
would use both. I would use both pages.
100%. Yeah, I think the other one will always be better, but I think we can do stuff on the other account that
Yeah.
doesn't have any mutuals to just up it a bit.
Yeah.
Um,
And you just get more numbers that way as well.
For sure. Is there a target that we should be hitting? Like, I think across both we can end up doing like 60 a day or like 80 a day or
60 a day is more than enough. Especially if
okay.
you're going to be doing looms and stuff. Like, yeah, 100%.
And we have so Evergreen Loom works okay for this, correct? Just depending on where like just making variations of it.
Yeah, I think you have an evergreen one, but I don't mind custom ones as well. The way I think
Okay.
about it is the higher your lifetime value, the more effort you can put into um, getting someone to book a call with you.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you something super interesting. In 2021, back in the good old days, um, my when my agency was like scaling, you know, we had kind of a nice presence online of like, we had motion, bro. You know what I mean? And so like
Yeah.
people knew, you know what I'm saying?
I've heard stories from back in the day. I've
People
heard.
knew, right?
Yeah.
So some people don't know now, but people back in the day knew. I
Uh-huh.
got this package one time, and I actually had a PO box, which is like where we had, it was like our business address. And I got this PO box, this package in my PO box. It's like this big. It's this purple box. I'm like, dude, what is this? And it's cookies and brownies. Like, and I'm like, okay, what is this? And it's from Oracle. If you ever heard of
Whoa.
Oracle,
Yeah.
only like one of the biggest companies in the world, so it's not a big deal or anything. But they basically reached out and they wanted us to sign up for NetSuite, their CRM tool, which is like
Mhm.
crazy fucking expensive, right? I don't know how much it is, but I mean, it's more than Go High Level. We'll just say that. And so these people
Mhm.
that are like, oh, the Go High Level subscription is very expensive. It's more than that, bro. I'll just tell you, like, this is,
Yeah.
thousands of dollars a month for custom CRM, right?
Hmm.
And I'm just thinking like, okay, these cookies and delivery probably cost them $50, but if it's gonna get me at least somewhat interested in spending $40,000 a year, then it's like it's our equivalent of sending somebody a 5-minute Loom video.
For sure.
Right?
It's so outsized.
100%. It's like just crazy outsized return. And it's like, yeah, it might take a little bit more time, but I just think that like everybody's way too focused on like this whole like over optimizing their time, and like everybody's just looking for the most efficient way possible to do stuff. But at the same time, it's like there's some stuff that just can make you so much money and profit and cash flow that it's just like that's not something that you automate. You know, it's like, okay, dude, if you want to like get an assistant and like they can I had an assistant in 2024. I'm definitely going to get an assistant again. It was a great thing for me, right? And it's like, but I'm not trying to get my assistant to like film content for me, you know what I mean? Or like edit, like automate my way out of making content, because it's like that's an actual valuable thing for me to be doing. And so, like that's how I think about the Loom videos. It's like, dude, if you can send a 5 or 10 minute Loom video or a 15-minute Loom video, and you end up getting 15 or 20% of someone's business, and you make $100,000 from them, it's just like, you know, I think I think people are way too hung up on like the being super optimized and like never spending any time doing anything. Like, I just think that's like way overrated.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree. And they appreciate, I think DMs are just so lazy now. Like, especially like if anyone's growth up watching this, like everyone sees the behind of the many chat and like the inboxes of every creator you've ever signed. And like pitches are horrible. They're half the time they're lying. And you'll be friends with the case study they're mentioning. And then the other times it's just the most lazy thing ever.
Well, people will message me and say, "Hey man, I'm a big fan of your content." And then it'll say, "You don't follow each other."
Yeah, that trips me up too.
And it's just like, well, you're such a huge fan that you don't follow me, bro. I appreciate that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, I have such conviction in your offer. You make such good content. And
yeah,
it's like,
exactly. It's like, bro, yeah, that just doesn't work, dude. I mean, and nobody's gonna be like, "Oh man, this guy's a big fan of my content. Like, let me hire him as a growth." People want their problems solved.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm always gonna be much more receptive to somebody saying, "Hey, I can solve this problem for you somehow."
This might be a fun story. Have you ever been closed from someone going outbound to you?
Oh, dude, I'm sure. I gotta think about it, but I'm sure I have. Definitely in the agency days, 100%. This guy wrote a bunch of nurture emails for us. That was before AI. He pitched me. Yeah, that sounds like forever ago, right?
Yeah.
Thumbnail designer. Yeah, there's been many times.
Fire. Because
I think that if you're a marketer, you're going to be very susceptible to getting marketed to. Like, I'm a sucker for getting marketed and sold to.
No, dude, I've bought so many consulting programs without any due diligence just because I thought the unique meg was like, that was so fire.
Yeah. And I don't like getting on sales calls because I get closed every single time. So I don't try to do sales calls with people because I always sign up. Sales comes down to just proving that you can solve someone's problems.
Yeah.
And so like when you watch these videos on Instagram of like these people doing these like objection handles, like all they're really trying to do is just validate that they understand like what somebody's struggling with and that they can solve it at the end of the day. And so when you understand someone's problems and you can show them, hey, like I have a pretty clear path to solve this, you know, most people are going to end up working with you.
If they're logical and then they're smart, they're like, bro, do it.
Right. Okay. So I think we're an hour in, so let's get into a little bit more of this stuff. Let's talk about sales for a little bit. Obviously some of the sales stuff might depend on some of the outbound stuff, but are you having like weekly sales calls right now?
So we just kicked it back up right now. For context for everyone watching, we just signed like 4 like actual RevShare clients. So this past 3 weeks have been just like getting funnels up and marketing and writing everything out for the assets and stuff, and staffing sales team. And we just kicked this back up this week.
So like that's a problem though.
So that's what I'm saying. So we made the first mistake in our agency was we turned outbound on. We did 25 that month, and then we were like, you know what? We're gonna get our fulfillment correct, and then come
everybody
back to
does
outbound.
this.
Literally, and then so funny enough, Renee and another like guy that works with me, they were like, yes, we have to stop on just don't send any more DMs. And I was like, I think this is we're cooked. I think this is wrong. And then 2 months later, we're like, we should have never ever turned off anything.
Me and Adam would get into like legit arguments constantly, like very heated arguments. You know, I don't even know if Adam watches these videos, but like he would be able to vouch 1000%. We would like scream at each other, dude, because he would be like, dude, let's turn the ads off. Let's like slow it down. Let's like figure out the processes, blah, blah. My thought process was the moment you stop selling, you start to decline. Your business starts to decline. Like it's just entropy, right? It's like if something
Yeah.
is left untouched, it's going to get worse with time. And so it's like, this is why really the goal should be if you're like the superstar, like sales and marketing guy for your agency, which most people don't really have a choice. That's what they have to be for their agency. You cannot also be the like operator, fulfillment, client services person. And this is why it's really important that you scale quickly because if you're like doing like the thing that kills people is when they sign like a client every other month and they're doing like six, and I'm not being a dick. I'm just being honest. And you're doing like 6K a month and it's like you're 6 months in. Well, the problem is you don't have enough velocity to like only do one thing. You have to move back and forth because like
Yeah.
you have to like work with the clients because you don't really have enough like scale, momentum, money, etc. to really hire anybody to do the fulfillment for you.
Yeah.
And you kind of like have to continue to do the sales stuff because you want to continue growing. And so it's kind of a hard point to articulate. But like, dude, everybody struggles with this. And I did this when I first started as well. We got to 30K a month. We really focused on delivery and, client services and just making sure people were getting good results, et cetera. And then we just turn off the sales side. And then it's like the sales side eventually deteriorates. People don't just randomly find you. Because I think once you get outbound working, you forget, like your perspective always shifts and you don't really remember how hard it was. Like, or
Yeah,
the fact
yeah.
that like clients don't just fall out of the sky. Like you actually have to do work to get them, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the way I would think about it. Like that's the way I would realize is like when you've scaled and when you're got 25K a month coming in, you should be thinking, how can I get help to do fulfillment and how can I put things in place, whether that's an operator, whether that's a partner, like whoever that is to do some of this fulfillment so I can go out and be the front end sales guy that's like getting clients and being like the
Yeah.
superstar.
That was also a big problem for us because we were closing like let's say like one of them was a 6K, one of them was a 3K, and then like our margins like I couldn't pay one person to do all the accounts because each account had different profit margins on each one. So it was like it was cooked.
Yeah, you just pay them a percentage.
Yeah, and but some of them were like 3K and it was like and then we
You
didn't
just
have
pay
our
somebody a
deliverables set
percentage of
up.
3K. This is another thing people don't understand. You, as a founder, have to be able to sell a vision not only to leads and clients, but you got to be able to do it to your team as well. Like, you have to be able to sell the dream to the person that you want to work with you. Like, KJ didn't pay you when you worked with KJ at the beginning, did he?
Yeah, no, barely anything.
Okay. So, but what happened? You believed in KJ. He probably sold you a vision. He said, this is what we're going to do. You get
Yeah.
super excited. Bro, think about if you're the leader of like a military force, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to get people excited to go out and fucking die. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
think about trying to sell that vision. Hey, bro, you're like, think about like ancient Rome. Yeah, hey man, you're gonna go out there and you're gonna fucking die because you're in the front and you're gonna get a spear thrown through you and you're dead. You know what I mean? And like that's it. You know what I mean? Like they had to get people excited to do that, right? And so like when people are like, "Oh, I don't have any money to like pay anyone," and like I got to be making 100K a month before I can hire someone. That's not how it works. You have to get someone excited about the growth potential, right?
Yeah.
Because just because someone is like a lot of people are entrepreneurial, a lot of people just aren't entrepreneurs. So you're going to have people that are entrepreneurial that don't want to start something from scratch, but still have the entrepreneurial spirit where they're motivated by upside. They're willing to make the sacrifice. They don't just need like the security of like a normal job. That's going to be the person you can find and you can convince them and sell them on the vision of, hey man, you might have to like kind of, be willing to kind of like tread through the mud here for a few months. And then we're going to be in a really good spot because of you. And then you're going to have tons of upside. So you got to be able to sell the vision of, hey, you take a percentage of each account. We'll make sure you're taken care of. I'm not saying like people are going to be starving or necessarily that they even have to work full time, but it's always a good investment because it's going to allow you to do what makes the business money which is get back out there, get in front of people, get on sales calls, close deals.
Yeah. You're basically saying whatever we need to be doing so that we can just still do whatever is making us money and like the outbound on the
That's
front end
exactly it.
at the cost of whatever, which I
Like, just
fully agree
eliminate
with that.
everything so you can just get more clients. And then eventually you're going to find something new that is higher leverage, right? So like you're going to get to a point where, you know, you have a lot of clients coming in, you have closers, setters, whatever the case may be, where like the high leverage thing for you is not going to be getting on sales calls and like closing deals anymore. That will come. And then there'll be a new thing that you focus on. And then also like this doesn't mean you abandon fulfillment forever. You know, you can come back and work on it later, but you don't want to be in this like we scale, then we have to pause, and then we like slowly go down, and then oh shit, we got to get more clients again, and then same process. That's what you're really trying to avoid.
Yeah. And do you think the same way for like the rev share model too? Because that's another big thing, like to make sure like with these rev share clients, like they've signed because they want to work with really closely with me and partner up with them in the business. And so it
That's
involves
where
a
they're
lot of data
crazy.
shit.
No, I'm kidding. So
That's where they're tripping.
that's where they don't know what they're doing. So, dude, okay, you can still use your brain and not be the person doing everything. That's the way I would think about it. So if you have a team, you can still sit on a meeting with your team once a week and say, this is what we need to do for such and such. Do it. Like you can still be behind, like you can be behind the strategy and not be behind the execution.
Yeah.
See what I'm
Which-
saying?
I'm getting better at that. And I will say they're all probably watching this. They are dialed. And it's really on me for not being like I will say it's probably more on me for not putting the systems in place for them to feel like so much clarity on what they need to do outside of just like calls with me and stuff like that. Which is probably something we should need to fix. But I think I want to scale the rev share model as well. And that's the tricky part of just like finding that balance of just like jumping on routine calls. And not like things happening just like every other like second and like trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Um,
Which
which-
is why you need to be in charge of the strategy and have really smart people that you trust that are also have a vested interest in it, in things going well.
yeah, 100%. No, that's 100% right. I will never ever turn off marketing again. We like shot ourselves in the foot bad. It was
Yeah,
this is
man.
the same offer that we did 25 with, and we just like we're like cool. Like I guess we're just too good to do anything other than just like any more outbound, and we just didn't do it for like a month or two, and it killed it.
Yeah.
This ride, but
Turn it back on with the
Yeah.
new kind of adjusted
We're gonna rip it.
process.
I'm so
And
excited.
so for
this game
team,
just started. Uh-huh.
Team was kind of the next thing that we wanted to go into,
Yeah.
which is really it's just finding that operator who's going to allow you to get back out there on the front lines, and probably a VA to help you with some of the setting stuff as well.
Yeah. I have someone on ops, so I have like a COO role who's a percentage of the company. So like almost like a partner. Obviously Renee helps out with a ton of stuff. So he's like we have a weird dynamic because we're pretty much just like we have one bank account. Like we don't do anything. We don't care about anything like that. So he helps a ton with that kind of thing. I have a CEO, he handles all like the Zap stuff, like everything on back end, and he's skilled enough to like make decisions on the operating side as well. And then like a copywriter. And they're all on just percentages now, which is like funny you bring that up where it's like it doesn't have to be like some sort of like thing you shell out money for. It's just like bought in vision, percentage of the upside. And yeah, they're all on percentages now and like kind of every basis covered, which is why like I'm kicking things back up now when in reality they should have never stopped. It should have just always been there.
Because like every agency really needs three people: acquisition, sales and marketing, operations, and then fulfillment. And in the beginning, operations and fulfillment can be one, and then eventually they'll have to break apart. So like Adam, my partner, he started with just doing operations and fulfillment. And then as we scale, it became extremely apparent that he was a much better operations person than he was fulfillment. So we let him go full-time operations, which is just because like, you know, when you have 100 clients that you're managing at one time, there's a lot of operations that come with that, right?
Yeah.
And so that's where he went to. And then it was like, okay, we need somebody else to come in and do the fulfillment, which was actually one of the biggest problems that my agency had was we never could find that person who was great with the fulfillment. We had banger client acquisition side, you know, and I was mainly heading it, but we had some people that helped us as well. And so like that was great. Adam was awesome at operations, wizard with Make and Zapier and automating a lot of like he automated basically everything. But the problem was finding the fulfillment person. So that was like our biggest bottleneck. And so you really got to just think about it high level, like the client acquisition person, the fulfillment person, and the operations person. And a lot of times the operations and a fulfillment person in the beginning can be kind of some of the same.
That's kind of what it is right now, exactly. Like that person is competent enough to do like pretty much both.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But like, dude, you don't have a fulfillment problem.
no, I don't. Well, I
Most
have a
people don't.
yeah.
Most people don't because most people aren't even good enough at acquisition to even have a fulfillment problem because they don't even have enough people that they've worked with to really even know. Because it's like you could get 10 clients and just because all 10 do great, that doesn't necessarily mean your fulfillment's great. Or
Yeah.
just because like 5 out of 10 don't do great, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad. I like to deal with a bigger sample size. And so I think realistically, the idea needs to be get out there, get more clients, get the outbound going again, and close more deals. And then you're going to have more funding to be able to kind of build the dream team that's going to be handling most of the fulfillment, operations, etc.
Facts. Bet. So I think biggest takeaway is just not to ever give ourselves an excuse to not be doing that, to not be doing anything on the front end and like signing more clients.
Yeah. Because it's just like, I would just really be hyper paranoid about the whole idea of entropy and like when you turn it off, that it's just progressively going to get worse.
It's true because it's like a lag delay. I guess like it didn't when we turned it off. It's not like we didn't have sales calls being booked, but like 2 weeks after you bet, it was dry.
There's a lag time of like 2 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you really start to feel it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like when you eat like shit, it doesn't necessarily hit you right away. Like you don't instantly get fat. It takes like a little bit of time. And then you start to see like, oh my gosh, I'm gaining weight. And it's because, 2 weeks ago you ate bad. It doesn't happen normally immediately.
Yeah, it's just organic. We had that with KJ. Like we didn't post for like I think it was like 3 weeks or something like that, and like for that month revenue was completely fine. But then like
Yep.
45 days later, we're like, holy shit, why is there no leads coming through?
Yep. Same problem.
Yeah, 100%. No, that gave me a lot of clarity, dude.
Cool. What else? Any other like final questions?
Um, I guess like the biggest thing we're just facing is like the next step for all these guys would just be ads. Like understanding media buying. I'm scared as fuck of DM ads. I've only heard that they're volatile as shit, and not incredibly like scalable. And that could be a limiting belief too. Um, but that being said, I've literally never touched an ads manager outside of retargeting, which is like I don't think counts. It's pretty much just like $50 a day to the audience. So I guess like any advice you have in terms of like diving into that? Do you think that a great question would be like, do you think for fulfillment, I guess would it just be bringing on a media buyer who understands that and plugging him in a percentage, which like we have people in network that can do that? Or do you think it's much more beneficial skill wise and long term wise to just dive into it myself, be the person like doing all of that, making those decisions and like fucking up and learning from it? Being that it's like one of the major skills if we're gonna do this at a high level.
So I look at media buying in two ways. There's the technical side and then there's the marketer side. I have always been good at the marketer side. I've never been good at the technical side. So I'm not super advanced with like targeting and lookalike audiences and data segmentation and like all that kind of stuff. I am, however, good at writing an ad or filming a VSL. Like we had an ad that we ran for over a year that, was our main ad. And it was just like literally, I just picked up my phone and filmed an ad, like one take, and it just printed for like over a year. And so I'm good at that stuff. And so what I would say is, as you master marketing for yourself, offer VSL, positioning, all these kind of things, that's skills that are going to assist you on the ad side. Now, do I think that it's going to benefit you to learn the technical ins and outs of media buying? No, I don't. Because the important thing is understanding, is this creative good? Does this landing page work well? Is this VSL good? Is the thank you page good? Are we asking the right questions on the application? That's all stuff that you know inherently as a marketer. And which is like, in a lot of ways, understanding marketing is actually a better skill than understanding sales in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, this is what prints, this is what makes money. And so I have never personally taken the time to learn the technical ins and outs of Facebook. Like it's crazy, but I never launched an ad. I haven't ever launched an ad.
That's insane.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't believe me when I say that, but I have no reason to lie about it. Like we worked with 771 clients. Adam ran all the traffic for our clients. And when we started to scale our own ads, we normally either had a kind of like a growth operator sort of running them for us, or we had an agency. And so for years, I just paid an agency. I love the guy that I worked with, Luke. We paid them $5,000 a month, and we just worked with him forever. And I would just send him creatives. Now, Luke would probably tell you, I would guarantee I was the most active client he ever had in terms of we would change the VSL, we would change the creatives. I would say this creative is going to work better. Here's new creatives. Here's a new landing page, etc. And I just kind of had him do all the technical stuff because one side of it's technical, one side of it is influence market, like
Yeah.
influence isn't the right word, but one side of it is like the copy side and the marketing
Persuasion.
side. And that's the skill that makes money, not necessarily the technical side. And so
Okay.
like as you get better at marketing your own stuff, it's going to make it easier for you to understand marketing for your clients. But I don't think like the technical thing is like I don't think that's like where the money's made.
Okay, that's a huge thing for me because I even had this conversation when I stopped closing with Paul. I was like, do I take the time, go like jump in an offer for another 6 months just to say I did it, and then go from like a 7 to like a 9 or whatever it is, and just take the year or two? And he was like, that is like the lowest leverage shit you could possibly be doing. And so like with this skill, it's like cool. I'm not gonna step into the ads manager and just focus on like actual persuasion, like to a cold audience outside of just warm audience, and that would probably be the skill set that I would dive into. Because there's things like that where like I could easily just like spend the next 3 months in Ads Manager learning it, and it's probably not going to make me any fucking money, which is like the hard thing, the hard truth to swallow. So I wanted to hear your input from that because I know you ran at a high level. You've made more money from ads than anyone I know, and you've never launched an ad, which is crazy. It's just insane to me.
Yeah. Because it's just like, I mean, the people that I know that have done super well, like they just don't spend their time on shit that just doesn't make money. You know what I mean? And some people are like relentless about it. Like some people go to the extent of where it's like, oh my gosh, this person's being financially irresponsible right now, you know? But it's just like they understand that like there's just certain activities that make you money and there's certain activities that don't. And so I was not like a hands-off client for the agencies that worked with me, like Luke. I was not a hands-off client. I wasn't just like, hey, turn the ads on, let them run. I was changing the landing page. I'm sure I was a pain in the ass to him, to be honest. I would change the landing page. I would change the application. We would change the pre-call video. We would change the VSL. We would change the creatives, etc. We would do new editing on the creatives. And so, because like that's the thing that makes money. But that's why our ads printed. You know, like I would be willing to bet we probably had the best ROAS out of anybody else that he worked with. Or at least like top three, because of how much like ownership I had over not the technical side, but the actual marketing side. And I think that's way more important than the technical shit.
Fire. Well, dude, I fucking appreciate you. Like, all I'm gonna do from this call is just like, we're gonna hire someone to bring on for ads media buyer. We're gonna just never stop outbound ever using the systems you talked about, ever, ever, ever. And we're not gonna use like rev clients as an excuse to not go sign more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just like sell the front end offer and
yeah,
make it a specific price. Make it 6K or make it 8K. You know, make it 6 and do 15 or 20 deals and then raise it.
perfect.
Because you
And then
also, if I was doing rev share, I would want more pick of the litter. Like I would want more opportunity to be able to say, don't want to do rev share with this person. I do want to do rev share with this person. And so the way you're going to do that is by getting more people through the front end offer. Because I didn't say this at the beginning of the call, but the way you're thinking about it is right. Like I wouldn't pitch somebody a rev share right out of the beginning. I think it's good to start with the offer that you're starting with. But what I would say is, like, I would want to have more people coming through your front end offer so you have very solid cash flow, and then you can be super selective about who you work with on a rev share basis, because it might be more profitable to have like 20 enrollments a month on the front end and only have like 5 people that you do the rev share with.
Yeah, that's exactly the model we want to run, because obviously just higher quality stuff in the back end. RevShare takes more time out of our hands, which means it needs to be like higher leverage clients. And like the front end offer is purely for just like building trust at scale, having cash flow, and then like
having trust with people that we want to like pick from and stuff. Exactly what you said. Like if we can like prove the offer and get paid 8K for it, and then choose to make 60K off them on the back end, then that's like the world I want to live in.
Yeah.
Um,
And then like
and
when you get the media buyer who's doing stuff for your clients, have them do stuff for you too. Like you can literally just have them run your ads.
and you think that 30K point, because I'm pissed because like we would have been farther along if we never stopped in the first place, from that first month. You think that 30K a month, on like
Yeah.
just cash from the offer is like, okay, it works fairly well enough. We just turn on ads.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
yeah,
I mean, dude, you've taken enough sales calls where you know, you're not a rookie. So like, I think that you could turn them on tomorrow. I think you'd be fine. The problem that people make is they don't know anything about marketing. They don't really have their offer dialed in yet, and they're not really good at sales. And then they just say, well, let's just turn on the ads. And then they're basically spending money just to get on calls and screw up. And it's like, okay, that's
Yeah.
just like a turbo waste.
That's retarded. I think I'm grateful and ungrateful because what I've done is kind of put myself like every 3 months, it's going all in on one client. Like for KG, it's like, okay, we just spent 6 months, 4 months doing this, going really deep into this one offer and then really deep into the next one. And like, I'm finally coming out of that and being like, cool, we're like, building an agency that has multiple offers that are being sold. And like, there's all this other stuff going on. That now it's like, okay, I need this call was helpful where it's like the 6 months for this offer and in handling multiple client accounts.
Yeah.
Instead of just being in that like doing one really deep for 3 months. But it helped with the skill. I'm like that way I'm not afraid of any part of the business. It just takes like a better, mature, more business brain to like figure out what needs to be like done at a certain points. But yeah, dude, this all was super helpful. Everyone book a call.
Cool.
Bad dude. Anything else we're missing?
I don't think so. I think we hit kind of a lot.
We hit a lot.
I mean,
yeah.
we went a while. I don't know what the final edit will be, but I went like an hour and a half.
I think that went really sick. I think, dude, I had a huge epiphany when you talked about like there was no problem aware section in that Loom at all.
A lot of the best coaching that I've received in hindsight seems super obvious, but it's just like when you're kind of doing these things yourself, it doesn't seem super obvious because you're just so engulfed in the problem and you kind of just need an extra set of eyes to look at it and say, hey man, this is what you're missing. Hope you enjoyed the one-on-one. I know we went pretty deep in that call. Hope it was able to keep your attention and I hope you enjoyed it. Listen, if you want to have one-on-ones just like the one you just watched with me directly, notice that wasn't a member of my team. That wasn't someone that I had hired. That wasn't some outside coach. That was me. That's exactly what I do with the partners inside of Agency Clients, my mastermind, which is where I work with agency owners who are either starting or scaling their AI agencies and give them all of the tools to scale past $30,000 a month and eventually, like I was able to, scale to 7 figures per year. And we do that mainly through one-on-one calls with me. So not like a course or not even really a coaching program, more dedicated one-on-one consulting time with me, just like what you watch me do there with Andres. So if you want more information on that, you can go below this video, be the first link in the description, agencyclients.com. You'll be able to apply for a free call with me. On that call, we'll talk a little bit more about working together. Would love to see you on one of those. Subscribe if you're not already. Hope you enjoyed the video. Do all the YouTube stuff. Love you lots. I will see you in the next one. And P.S., let me know if you like this content style of the coaching calls because I can do a lot more of these. Selfishly, this is a lot easier style of content to make for me and my team. So if you guys like these, I'm happy to do more of these in the future. Let me know in the comments below. Love you lots. Agencyclients.com. Peace.